Today we're going to make a rocket stove. Today's Thanksgiving, a great day to be thankful to our Lord. And well, my beautiful bride's in cooking up our nice turkey. I thought I'd come out and make a rocket stove. So these are some of the items that we're going to use today. We're going to use some thermal rock or Purolite. You can also use vermiculite. We're going to use some commercial grade crack resistant concrete. I've heard about these rocket stoves cracking, so we're going to try to do a couple measures to alleviate the cracking in the rocket stove. I see a lot of people making them in these 5-gallon buckets, which are great, and you can do that. I'm going to take a step to make it just a little bit thicker. I happen to have one of these quick tubes for pouring concrete forms in, just laying around. And as you can see, it's a good inch larger in diameter than this 5-gallon bucket. So that'll give me an inch more thickness in the walls of my rocket stove. And in addition to that, I'm going to cut it 1 inch longer than the 5-gallon bucket. Still going to use a 12-inch tube. It'll just give a little more thickness to the bottom structure. I also, in doing this, I see a lot of people putting forms in and pulling the forms out. I have an old piece of stovepipe in here, and I'm going to actually use that stovepipe and just leave it in place. In addition to that, a lot of people are pouring the forms using just the crack-resistant concrete. I had a piece of leftover fencing material that I just sort of formed into a round shape, and that will sit right inside to form a little bit better strength to the concrete form that we're going to pour. So those are the items that you're going to need. In addition to that, I have a piece of cardboard down here that I traced my 4-inch pattern on, and you'll see how that's going to go. And a wheelbarrow or something else to mix the mixture in, and a little bit of water. And that's about all we need. I have some of this 4-inch furnace pipe that I had laying around. Now typically you don't cut something like this on a wood miter saw, but because the material is so thin, it cuts through it real nice. I'm going to cut a 45 on here, and just make sure that you wear eye protection, a face shield, that kind of material. So here we go. I'll try to set the camera up here. Okay, you can see that we've got our 45 cut here. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but we're going to use that 45 along with this piece right here to form our up piece, and we'll just take this piece off here. So this will be our up piece, going just like this. So if you can sort of see that, we'll tape that. That'll go through our bucket, and we'll form this piece here. I have some metal silver tape that I'll probably tape that together with, but you could use anything. It's just to hold it in place till the concrete forms around it. That's 12 inches in length from the tip. So that's 1 foot right there. And the piece that I'm going to come out to feed, I'm going to make that roughly about 10.5 inches. And that'll allow me to feed my twigs and everything through. Once again, make sure you wear eye protection when you do this. can see the finished tube assembly that I have, and it's all taped together. Now if you take a look inside this bucket, you can see the total height is about 14 inches. We're going to make our tube here 15 inches high, and so I'm going to cut that at 15 inches, and that'll give me an extra inch thickness in my overall height and in the wall thickness by using this quick tube that you can buy at is to take our tube here and to trace it out on a piece of cardboard or thick stock. So here we're going to make a mark at 12 inches down from the top, and that is going to be the bottom of our circle. If you notice, if I had used the bucket, I would only have 2 inches from the bottom, but because I made this tube higher, I have 3 inches, so that gives me a little extra strength in the bottom of the stove where I think some of it may be needed. Now we're just going to trace this pattern out and mark it all the way around. Set this in the tube. And if we did this right, we should have about 4.5 inches all the way around, 4 1/4, somewhere in that range. And we're going to leave this in here rather than pull it out. That's why I taped my pieces. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 containers, 4 parts of Purolite to 1 part of concrete mix. This is going to be a relatively dry mix. Okay, 4 of these to 1 of those. Here we have our 4 parts Purolite to 1 part crack resistant cement. We're going to mix that in dry, and then we're going to add water, and it's going to be a dry mixture, not a wet mixture. The reason I have the trash bag here is not so much for the leaking. I believe the plastic in itself on the bottom would do that. That's so I don't have to lift it up when I'm done and put a bag around it, because I want this to slow cure so that we won't have any cracking going on. The slower it cures and the longer you wait to use it, the better it's going to be. So I'd say minimum of 3 weeks.